Rock and roll. Rock and roll. The letter to the Queen of Denmark, Margrethe II, in English. Your Majesty, this letter is long, but the subject matter justifies its length. Its objective, to resolve all of Africa's challenges, may seem ambitious, but it is my objective nonetheless, and I am bound to it as Your Majesty is bound to the throne of Denmark. Your Majesty, I am of Malawian, Zambian, and Swazi roots, but a Danish citizen since the age of 12 due to my mother's union with Hans Jørgen Andersen of O near Hobro. My mother was from Malawi and my real father from the royal family of Swaziland. All three are deceased, and I write this letter in their honor. All three of my parents were dedicated to Africa's progress, and I learned a lot from them. In fact, I'm still learning. I am a Rastafari. I belong to the people of this world who recognize, I belong to the people in this world who recognize the divinity of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah, elect of God and earth, rightful ruler. The life, works, and words and aspirations of His Imperial Majesty are indeed too many to mention here. However, they are all a part of our recent common human history, and through them we can all resolve all that stands in the way of human progress, freedom, dignity, and reconciliation with our Creator. When His Imperial Majesty visited Your Majesty's beloved parents, His Majesty King Frederick IX and Her Highness Queen Ingrid, in November 1954, he was awarded the Order of the Elephant. Your Majesty, please forgive my ignorance and ambitious appropriation, but it is my hope that in some way or other, the order awarded to our leader extends some of its merits to those of us around the world who are faithful to His Imperial Majesty. If I am accepted in my assumptions, then all I ask is that Your Majesty will receive this letter in the same spirit that the order was bestowed upon His Imperial Majesty by your beloved father, His Majesty King Frederick IX. When I make such a request, it is not for selfish reasons. My motivation is a deep desire to improve the world we live in and to play my role according to my heritage, race, creed, talent, life experience, political conviction, and education in the service of all humanity without discrimination. Amongst the many things on my mind is the destiny of millions of Africans who have been dealt with very challenging circumstances. My commitment to addressing all African issues is aggregated in my plan to walk 18,000 kilometers from Cape Town to Cairo for water rights, as a response to the call of our African leaders who have stated in Chapter 4 of the NEPAD Manifesto of 2001 thus: this is why the political leaders of the continent appeal to all the peoples of Africa in all their diversity to become aware of the seriousness of the situation and the need to mobilize themselves in order to put an end to further marginalization of the continent and ensure its development by bridging the gap with developed countries. That would be paragraph 55 of chapter 4 of that NEPAD Manifesto. Paragraph 56 goes to say, we are therefore asking the African people to take up the challenge of mobilizing in support of the implementation of this initiative by setting up at all levels structures for organization, mobilization, and action. 57. The leaders of the continent are aware of the fact that the true genius of a people is measured by its capacity for bold and imaginative thinking and determination in support of their development. Since the day, Your Majesty, since the day that I read these words in 2002, I have been committed to doing exactly what the words demand of me, at my own expense. Today, the influx of African immigration into Europe has reached proportions that have propelled the issue to the center of all political debate. Alongside climate change, the issue is at the center of my reasons for writing and all my future activities. Exactly what I plan to do is laid out in a $10 billion plan addressed to the EU via Chancellor Angela Merkel. The objective is to reverse African migration and in the process free those Africans caught in several North African and Middle Eastern countries. apart from all the other challenges that Africans are caught up in different traps right across the continent. At the festival in July, delegates will agree upon the implementation of the $10 billion plan, which will be funded by we Africans ourselves. Such funding can only come about through unity, and the only institution that can bring about such unity is the concept of royalty in all its present manifestations across the world. And that includes the African ones, small, big, of all sizes, hence the reason why I am addressing Your Majesty. Into royalty, we invest all that we collectively deem to be noble, admirable, ethical, and responsible. As for Your Majesty, your very person constitutes everything sovereign that a nation can aspire to. Therefore, I seriously reach out beyond my station to convey my thoughts, deeds, and aspirations. I, Jimmy Anderson, fallible as I shall surely be found out to be, am nevertheless your loyal subject, and shall now proceed to justify writing this letter instead of making use of the designated political process. My own words are not sufficient, so I will borrow from Søren Kierkegaard. And the translation of what he says is, what I really need to get clear about is what I must do, not what I must know, except insofar as knowledge must precede every act. What matters is to find a purpose, to see what it really is that God wills that I should do. The crucial thing is to find a truth which is truth for me, to find the idea for which I am willing to live and die. End of quote. All over the world, while our differing opinions must always be guaranteed by constitutional rights, we must at this moment be united by responsibility. Whether we are aware of it or not, and whether we accept it or not, humanity is in a social contract with itself, nature, and the Creator. As with all covenants, our common social contract must be understood in detail and thereafter acted upon. Your Majesty, I, for my part, am grateful that you, as part of the social contract, exist to represent an institution of great importance to humanity, royalty. Since I have the privilege of being subject to such a contract, I see it as only natural to make the best use of it, especially when the occasion calls for it, and when the world's situation needs it, as now. My entire life has been dedicated to changing the world as a musician. I continue my activities with passion, and my next event is a combination of many years of hard work. Between the 18th and the 24th of July, the hostel where I reside, this letter was written in 2019, Steelhouse Copenhagen shall host an event specially designed to meet the most important issues dominating parliaments across Europe and Africa. The event is the first of many events which shall be held around the world under the title Zisakuduse Planet Festivals. This first event shall be known as 7 Days in July. It shall be a synthesis of a panel discussion, a conference, a music festival, and a songwriting recording session. The idea is to glean ideas and songs from the serious discussions, compile them in various formats, which will in turn help finance the implementation of the very issues discussed. This year, the countries that I am connected to, Denmark and Malawi, are in election mode. As I write, the Malawian votes are being counted. When the new government is decided, I shall present very much the same message to them as I am presenting to Your Majesty. It is an urgent message, and its reception in Denmark and Malawi is necessary for my plans to come to fruition. These plans must succeed because, as I write, many Africans are languishing in modern-day slavery as a result of looking for greener pastures in Europe. Let me just take a short break.